All righty. We are back with another jarring episode of the Option Genius Show.
Jarring.
Jarring, jarring. So today is September 24th. My name is Alan Sama. I'm here with Matt D'Ambrosi, and we are here to talk about markets. I think over the past, I think Option Genius has been around for over 15 years. We've actually helped tens of thousands of individual investors learn about trading options and put some trades on and make some money at the same time. So that's pretty cool. And you know, Matt, like one of my goals was always like, hey, I want to help 10,000 people achieve freedom, you know? That was always the driving force.
hmm
And one of the things was like, how do you track that? Right? It's like people don't really give us our they don't like give us their statements, their broker statements, like, oh hey, I made $1 million. They don't do that. So it's like, how do we know if someone like if we've helped someone to the thing? Um and so like I've been thinking, okay, what are the different ways we could do this? Da, da, da. One of the ideas I had was to have an award. And I think you've seen some of the prototypes that we mocked up. Like I've been
Yep.
talking about this for like years now. It's like we need
You
a
have
we need a trading
at least
award.
like several. Yeah,
We
several
need a
others.
trading award, and for I wanted to have like different levels. So like $25,000. If you've made $25,000 trading, you get this award. If you make 50,000, you get 100,000. You get 250,000, 500,000, $1 million. I think if somebody has made $100,000 trading, they can do it again. It's
Certainly.
probably not a fluke that they made
No.
that much. You
Mhm.
make 5,000, 10,000, maybe, it's in a bull market, something you get lucky and then maybe you give it all back. I've heard lots of stories of
We're not talking
people.
about one trade here.
Yeah, not even like that, but like, a lot of people were during the COVID crash and then the recovery, a lot of people made a lot of money in the stocks and options, buying options after everything was going back up. And then they gave it all back. And some of them, a bunch of them made over like $100,000. So, I mean, that might not be the right threshold, but to me, I think that if someone is doing, trading at least our way, um, and they've made 100,000, they can, and they have the skills to make it over and over again. And that to me, would signify that yes, you are now eligible to be free and live your life in a way that you want. If you can make 100,000, especially if it's in a short term, right? If it took you 10 years, okay, maybe we need to work on
Right. Yeah. So
that.
you need to specify the time period.
Yeah, maybe we need to specify time periods.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can make 100,000 a year, okay, you could do it over and over again, and then that would be, you could live off that. You could quit your job if you wanted to, or travel around the world doing that, live in. You could move to a cheaper country,
hmm
and have a really good life and whatnot. So I think that would be some type of freedom. Um, and then we also have the continuum, right, with the different levels of option traders. And I've been working on the materials and the content and everything for the club, which is coming out soon. And so I was like, okay, another thing, because what happened was, let me backtrack with the awards, right? I put out some emails just to see what people would think. Like, would they want an award or like, like, do they want like a plaque or do they want like a big trophy? Like, and I got feedback from a couple people that was like, I wouldn't want an award because I don't want to like show off. I don't want to show off how much money I'm making. And then somebody else said that I don't know if this is true or not, but he's like he was part of some other person's program, and they gave out awards to people, and all the people that they gave out awards to, they got audited by the government, by the IRS.
Oh man.
And I'm
Okay.
like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's totally true. Maybe one guy got audited because he was doing something. I don't know if everybody would get audited, but you know, like I've seen it. I've seen awards in other professions, right? In sales, they give you awards, and
Mhm.
in recording artists, they all get awards, and I've seen in marketing people get awards. So it's not, and it's a dollar amount. Like, oh, hey, this guy made $1 million in sales. This guy made, this much in revenue or whatever. They don't get audited. So I don't think that's completely there. But so a couple of people were like, yeah, I don't know. So okay, like, okay, what else could we do? And then when I was doing the club, I thought about it. I was like, well, if somebody has all the skills to get to like level, let's say level 9, right? Which is option consistent.
Hmm.
If they can get there, then they should know enough to achieve freedom through trading. So maybe that's what it is, or maybe it's some combination. It's like, okay, you get to level 9 and you get the 100K award. And then that way I'll know, okay, this person has the skills and this person has made enough money to qualify. And that would be a check mark. It'd be like, okay, we got one guy
Right.
to freedom. And
Hmm.
then we just need, 10,000 of those. So I'm thinking that might be the thing.
I
Um,
think you're thinking about it the right way because, people want a marker, right, if you will, and a plaque, or something like that. As I think about it, just it's nice and all, but it doesn't really make you feel like you have arrived in a way, right? So, or have been, or you're on the route to success. So I think that as you have as we're doing in the club, I have different levels of understanding. That would be good to have so you can equate to what you're thinking about.
yeah. I mean, I do think that the awards would be beneficial.
Yeah,
Just because
everyone loves an award. Don't get me wrong, right?
yeah.
I mean, it's good.
And the other thing is like in our industry, like in our thing, our trading, like as a personal trader, individual trader, we don't have anything to really achieve, like besides money, right? It's like, oh, hey, I made this much money. It's just numbers on the screen. Um, Eventually, in the beginning, when you start making money, you start buying stuff and your family's all happy because they get new toys and whatnot. But eventually they're used to it and it's expected. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, you need to make money trading. What are you talking about? Um, and so, like, we have to figure out our own ways to keep going and recognize ourselves and have some achievement. So I think the award, at least for me, having a really nice award, not like a little piece of garbage award, but a nice award I could hang on the wall, um, probably in my office. I wouldn't like put it in my living room or anything and show off, but
Yeah, where
in my
you
room
put
where
it
I
where you are
trade,
trading, right? You
yeah, where
put
I
it,
trade, I want to see
yeah,
that. Like, okay, man,
sure.
I did this. I accomplished
Yeah.
something because the time will come when the market will turn and I will lose money
Hmm.
and
And you
I'll
can look
curse
up at your
myself.
achievement and you
Yeah.
can shift your mind back,
Yeah. I mean, you'll
right?
curse yourself, you'll hate yourself, you think about, giving up, but then you'll be like, wait a minute, no, I have achieved something. So I think that's why it's important. But um, yeah. So just thinking about that. So I was like, okay, we're gonna get 10,000 people. So we got to get 10,000 people into the club. And then we got to get them all to level 9, and then they got to get an award. So we got a ways to go.
Well,
But the
here's the
thing is,
mission, right? Here's
yeah,
the
I
mission.
mean,
Yeah,
the thing is, like, I can start counting, and people in our community. I know people in our community that have come up forward and said, hey, you know what? I make, you know, 10,000, 15,000 a month more.
all the time.
It's like, oh, hey, I quit my job and now I'm trading. And then sometimes they get bored and they're like, hey, I went back to work. I'm like, why? It's like, oh no, I got
Yeah,
bored. So I wanted to go
yeah.
back to work. Like, okay, you have that freedom. You have that choice. You don't have to, you know? And so I think that's really cool. So we have people that, technically would already qualify, and we probably could count and say, yes, we got this person to freedom, but we don't have a mechanism or a plan or like a checklist or something, requirements list. So we'll have to make that up. And then maybe once they get my 10,000, then I'll be like, okay, it's time to retire for me.
Done what I need to
Like
do.
I'm done. Yes. And when I'm gone, they're gonna ask me, "Hey, did you do good?" I'm like, "I think so. I think I did
Yes, I've
good."
helped 10,000 people, right?
Not only them, but their families, their spouses, their
Right. It
kids.
just doesn't end with them.
Yeah.
it extrapolates out.
future generations, all that.
Sure.
All
Yep.
right. So, what are we looking at today? Market's down 0.5%. SPX.
So I want to ask you a quick question.
Okay.
Are you wearing a red shirt because it's a down day, or are you into the new thing? Are you going to wear a green shirt when it's up day?
I don't have any green shirts. I don't
Okay.
think. Um,
I just
so
thought
this
it was
was,
interesting that it's a down day and you're wearing red.
yeah. I thought about that. I was like, should I wear red? I don't know. It's kind of people sometimes they get mad when they see red. I don't know. But
Especially in
no,
our line of work.
no, no significance to the red shirt. So yeah, market's down about S&P's down 0.5%, RUT's down 0.8, oil's up 2.3, a dollar and a half. Nasdaq down 0.5%, Dow Jones almost 0.5%. Gold's down too, almost 1% today. So it looks like just about everything is down. Um, Bitcoin's up a little bit, but most of the indexes and gold, I guess, is moving correlated with the markets nowadays. They move together. So um, that's where we're at now. Did have some news from Mr. Powell yesterday, right?
Sure did. Yeah. So he talked about proceeding with caution, going into these expected interest rate cuts that we're all expecting, either 1 to 2 for the rest of the year. So it's really not set in stone. So, that puts in an expectation, changes the expectation that the market has. So I kind of see it as just a little bit of a minor, you know, blip on the radar to me as the market will continue to go up. So I don't expect this to last too long, in
Well, I
my
mean,
opinion.
you need to pull back. It's not going to go up every day after day
Right. I
after
mean,
day,
that's what
right?
people are kind of conditioned to recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, 0.5% move is not the end of the world. It's not a big deal even. It's a blip on the radar, like you said. But the one thing is interesting because he mentioned the fact that stocks are expensive, overvalued, right? And then after that, he said, yeah, but uh, it could it could get a lot more. Like they could get a lot more overvalued. So I don't think he was predicting a sell-off or anything major of that regard. But I do think that the market is really wanting two more rate cuts this year. If we don't get it, we might get a sell-off. And I think the big question mark is October. So uh, we'll see what happens in October. We might get a sell off and then maybe a rebound after that. So like
Yeah.
I'm like a little concerned. Like I don't know. Should I keep my powder dry or should I put it all in or should I take some money out, leave it on the table or leave it in my pocket so that when if we do get a drop, then I go all in. Still debating that. Because we do have another issue coming up, right?
Yep.
October 1st
Yeah, we have potential government shutdown. So
again.
uh, Trump was supposed to meet with the Democrats and he canceled that meeting. So, we're getting down to the wire almost, it's the 24th today and October 1st would be the deadline. So, things need to happen. And, th this happens a lot. And I think that they will most likely, as usual, they will come to agreement at the, 12th hour, but you never know, right? Maybe they won't.
Right. The Republicans do not have the votes.
Hmm.
So the Democrats are asking for the extensions on the Obamacare health care plans and subsidies and all that stuff, which I guess might be phased out. So
It's
uh,
pretty contentious. So, I mean, there is a good possibility that it will not be reached.
we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah,
I do remember a couple times when market or the government was shut down.
they did definitely.
Um, The market did suffer a little bit, but then it rallied back up again. So it was a short-term thing again, because they cannot keep it shut down forever, right? People need to get paid. The post office people and all the IRS people, and even the Congress people themselves, I think they don't get paid if the government is shut down. So
Right. So there's some short-term pain. People are gonna, hem and haw, and then eventually it will get worked out.
Yeah, and plus they give it all back. Like people keep going to work, um, everything gets tracked, but you just don't get paid right away. When the government is open again, then they give you all the back pay. So
Right.
it's like,
But
okay.
that's, people are in tight situations, right? Let's face it, and that means a lot, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
even the short term, month or two can mean a lot to people.
Yeah, no, if you're expecting a certain amount every month and you don't get
Sure.
it for a month or two, that's yeah, people don't have we already talked about this, people do not have savings.
No, sadly, most Americans do not.
And now
Yeah.
with the prices, everything being higher than they have been recently, then um, it's even more contentious. And so we'll see what happens. But that's the two, the two big question marks we have right now. Shutdown, yes or no? Rate cut in October, yes or no? The rate cut in October will come first. Um, and then we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm approaching it as like I'm cautious, month to month, but my overall thesis to the end of the year is up, right? Which is in line with most of the market sentiment. But, you have to be ready for any kind of situation.
Hmm. Yes, right. So today we are going to talk about how to determine if you should take profits on a trade that is up money. Um, Interesting enough, you and I had this conversation earlier
We have this
today
conversation
about a
many
trade.
times. We
Many
have it
times.
more than you think.
Yeah, but then we had this one today, and we're like, okay, yeah, maybe we should, let's just put it out there. Let's do the math with everybody and show everybody, and
Mhm.
see how we go when this situation occurs. So,
But I do want to say one thing. I want to say that it's a question of taking profits, right? So we're not wrong in any sense. Neither one of us I don't see as being wrong. It's just how you as a trader would determine what would be best, in my view. We can get into
y
it. We're
yeah.
not talking
So,
about losses here.
right, right. No, you have a winning trade. So let's just go through the numbers, right?
Okay.
Um, all right. So I'm going to share my screen, and this will just be so we can record numbers and stuff, whatnot. So this is a Phoenix trade that we're talking about, right? We put it on yesterday. Um, then today you put on part two in the morning, and we got the Phoenix trade is kind of like an iron condor. It has two sides, and then we have stops on both sides. So stop loss on both sides. And one of them got stopped out. And so basically, you're waiting for the other side to lose value or to expire worthless. And if that happens, then you have a gain, right? So walk me through. So you got out of the stop. You had the stop out, and then your let's say your margin. What was it? Margin was about 8,000 on the
Yep. Either
trade.
eight to 10.
Yeah.
So,
So I think yeah, it was 8,000
okay.
because I looked at the numbers. All right. So we're gonna need that for the calculations. So okay, so your margin is 8,000, and how much were you up or down when you decided to get out of the remaining side?
So when I got out, in the whole trade, are you talking?
Yeah.
About 355 would be up in profit.
Okay. So if you got out early, your profit would be 355.
Correct.
Okay. Um, and you got out at of the short at 90 cents. So
Mhm.
you could have made another $90 if you had let it run, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So that's would be 445, additional $90. So now if I divide the two, like, okay, so 355 divided by 90, oops, 355 divided by, or 90, sorry, 90 divided by 355, that gives me 25%. So out of all the profit you made, you could have made an additional 25% of profit, but you decided, no, I'm going to take it off. So why did you decide no?
All right, so I think that goes into
So let's
we're
look at the
going in.
numbers, right?
Yeah.
So your short strike is the one that we were talking about was 66.55. Okay. And then the current price of SPX, um, I don't remember what it was. I don't have that. Or you have that, right? On your list, on your sheet. Do you have that? SPX
The
price?
current price of it?
The
Uh,
SPX price when you got out?
not exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have that.
All right. So if we look at, I know you did record the timing of it.
Yeah, so I got out of the let's see, the puts, but probably that was let me go. Let me see. Oh, there we go. So that would be 12:12 p.m.
All right. So, okay. So that's roughly around 66.35.
Okay.
All right. So we're, um, and the market was down about 0.5%, about 30 points, I think, at that point.
Yeah, just about, yeah. I remember.
Okay, so the market is down 30 points. You are 20 points away from being in the money. And the timing was around 12:15, you said. So you still had what, 2 hours
Several
and
hours.
2 hours, 2.5 hours? No, 2.45 hours.
Yeah, 2:45.
Yeah. So 2 hours, 45 minutes. Round off to three. So I said 3 hours left in the day. Um, you could make an additional $90. Currently, you have $355. Now, the way the Phoenix works is that we put a stop loss in place on this short strike, right? That stop loss was at 14.
Yep.
And so if something happens in the remaining 3 hours and the market turns up, goes up, and our stop loss is hit, right? We would be down 1,400, an additional 1,400 plus the 355 that we have made. So we would give that back plus lose $1,400. So round trip about, 1,750.
Right.
Um, would not be happy in that
No,
regard.
no.
You know, you take a winner and it turns into a loser, and there's really nothing you can do about it because the market's going to do what the market's going to do.
Correct.
And this trade has no adjustments. So it's just put it on, take it off. Now, um, so what was going through your mind when you thought about this?
Okay. So now we're getting into, I would say it, a little bit of the psychology of how you are independently as a trader, right? Now I am on the idea of, and I think you mentioned this a long time ago, and it's true. I feel it's true, is that you never want to be in a trade, right? That you are profitable, right? And then you give it all back. I think that's one of the worst feelings in trading. So I am on the idea of if I have a decent profit, right, or I'm hitting my profit target, okay, whatever that is, and you're positive, I am more likely to be take that profit while I have it than have the market turn around, which it can, right? But we all know it can do, and then give it all back. So that's kind of the big overarching thought that I have
Okay.
as far as taking the profits, because there'll be, especially like a trade like this, there'll be another trade after this, another trade the next day, another trade the next day. So rather
Yes.
than sit there and just get clobbered, possibility, most likely it won't happen, but I take that off the table. So And I kind of think about the velocity of money, right? I'm out of this trade, I'm into the next trade, and I'm moving along consistently. So that's kind of my overarching thought process of how I would, that's why I got out.
Okay. Yeah. So I heard part of it is that you have a target profit. I heard that.
Mhm.
I heard that you don't want to give back the profit. I heard that you are not concerned as much with the original or the remaining $90 because you know you have another trade coming in a couple hours,
Correct.
right? And so you're probably going to have to get out before the close anyway, so that you can use that money, turn around and put it into another trade. So it might not be like you're going all the way to expiration anyway. So I think that is part of it. Whenever you're thinking about, okay, should I take my profits on this trade? It's like, okay, what am I going to do with the money?
Hmm.
It's an issue of is my money better invested here or is it invested in another trade if I can, or is it better sitting on the sideline? Now, um,
I'm going
you
to add
know,
one thing. I'm going to add one thing to this.
okay,
Okay. I think of this if I do sit there and let it go to expiration, I think it puts my mindset off of to whether I care to admit it or not, but I think it puts my mindset into I'll let this ride a little longer than I need to. So it gets me out of that mind frame of just taking the win and then moving on. Otherwise, if I start saying, okay, I'm gonna, you know, push this one to the end and something does happen, it changes my mindset a little bit. So I'm kind of on the idea, and I always have been, it's developed over time, of course, that I like to get in and get out.
okay. Is that a emotional thing?
I think it's a emotionally logical thing for me.
It does sound like emotion. Logically, the odds are in your side. Nothing's gonna happen. The short that we're talking about, it has like a 15 delta, so you got like an 85% probability it's gonna expire. Um,
Correct, but
you know,
I would argue that my goal is to be consistent, right? As consistently profitable as I can be. So in my situation, I think that if it does turn around, it just kind of takes me away from that consistency a little bit.
all right. Because you do have options, right? You could say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna stay in it. But if it does turn around and instead of my 355 profit, maybe I'll get out if I'm at $100 profit, or
Good,
maybe at
right? But
break
you
even.
you definitely have to be paying attention for sure. Yep, that is
Yes.
true. That is
Yeah.
true.
Like if it gets to
That's a
break
good point.
even, right? If it goes back to zero, like, okay, I'm not up, I'm not down, I can get out then, and then I can put on a trade in a couple hours again. So, yes, I'll have wasted one day and some work. Um, but I took a chance. And at this point, it was like, okay, I'm risking 355 to make 90. Is that a good trade-off?
Yeah,
Well, it's 25%.
yeah.
So it might be a good trade-off for a couple hours. So you
A
can look
valid
at it that
point.
way.
Hmm. I agree with that.
But then again, if you, like you said, it's going to take time to monitor. And so if you have something else to do,
Mm.
then yeah, it becomes very hard.
Right. Do you
It,
want to, that's another question, right? Do you want to watch this thing all the way to expiration? And I think you have to, each person has to ask that question, right? Based, because everyone's doing different things,
yeah.
right? So there's all different variables, I would say,
And then
that
the
you
one
would
thing,
take or
like,
not.
in terms of the emotional or the mental aspect, is that once the trade is done, whether it's a winning trade, whether it's a losing trade, once it's done, the stress is gone. Like that
Mhm.
is like, it's off. It's like, okay, it's
I,
just relaxed. Like, okay, I'm done. And if you
mhm.
made, hey, great. If you lost, it's like, okay, the loss, I mean, the bleeding is done.
Well, yeah, you just hit on it. There's an emotional toll to this too, right? I mean, emotionally, how would you feel if you get out at a profit, right? You're happy, and everyone's happy with profit, right? But let's say I go to the end of the day with this, that could be a little additional toll that I had to watch it for the rest of the day to get that extra 90 cents, right? So it's like, it's one of these in my
Right.
mind.
And I also think that the more you have invested in it, the worse it feels when you don't
Sure.
get the right when you don't get the outcome you wanted. So imagine if you sit there and you don't go to lunch, you don't do anything, you just sit in front of the screen watching the SVI go up and down, up and down, up and down, and then at the end of the day, after like 3 hours of that, oh, I got to get out and
It just
break even.
turns on you, right? And then you're just,
Disgusted.
yeah.
So,
If I can, I like to avoid that situation.
right.
So that's kind of how I frame it. But everyone's, there are times I will say, I think, the point you brought up about, okay, if it starts turning, you have the ability to get out of it, right? For a profit, it's less than you would want, right? Or expect. I hate to say expect because we should expect nothing. But, um, there's just different ways of looking at it.
I also put into the fact that, I want to see how the rest of my trades are doing as well. Because this trade by itself is not on an island by itself, right?
Correct. Yeah, very
Um,
true.
so, for example, if we were doing several trades of one sort, like if we were doing several layup trades, hey, I got, 6 layup trades. Three of them did great, two of them lost money. And so I'm kind of like, on that month I might be teetering. I was like, oh, I might make money, I might lose money on the layups, and I got one trade left. Well, if that's the one trade left, then I might have a tendency to try to fight it out for the win,
Right.
just to be
Hmm.
positive. No, I need a little bit more. It's like I need a little bit more to break even for the
When
month or be positive for the month, and
When
then
that feeling enters your mind, that's when I'm like, okay, I try to be like, okay, no, because that's more than not, that's the time it's going to get you.
that's danger. That's the danger.
It's danger and it's hard to identify, but when you start saying that, like you start saying, oh my, I can just get to this, the market has a crazy way of telling you you're wrong.
Yes, yes. I think if you set it like a set number, like I need this, or if you say the word need, like I
Hmm.
need that, that's like okay, no, that you're doing it
You
wrong.
can't say need because if you are really feeling like you have to do something, you have to do, you're in trouble. Yep, for sure.
Or the market has to do this, the stock has to do
Hmm.
this, or it's bound, it's going to do it. I'm sure. I'm
From a
100%
desperate
sure.
place,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
Yeah. And like this morning, no, not this morning, but when I when I when I got in, I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, okay, hey, I went to this spreadsheet that we share with all the trades. I looked at your shorts, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's out on one side, and he should still be in this one. Okay, and I looked at it, I'm like, okay, it looks safe. Then I scrolled over, and I'm like, oh, he got out on both already. And then I'm like, hey, Matt, what happened? Like, why'd you get out?
That's
Like
why I said in the beginning, we're not really wrong.
you're not
It's
really
just
wrong. No,
different ways, right? We're not wrong. We're just different ways of how we would exit, right? And
it also depends what your
I'm not
goals
saying you're
are.
wrong. Like you would have gone till expiration.
I don't know, maybe.
Well, you said so to me.
Well, so the reason I was asking you, like, hey, why, was because number one, this is a new trade, right? We want people to feel confident in the trade and be like, oh, hey, this trade is making good money.
Mhm.
And so, if we show a trade result with a $400 profit, that's big difference than $300 profit. Right. And so I'm looking at it from a different point of view, like, oh man, I wish we had made more. More people would be excited about it. More people would get some confidence in it, and they'll start paper trading and doing it. Because if we pull in and we're like, okay, hey, we did this trade, for 3 weeks in a row, and every single trade made $150, ain't nobody gonna do that trade.
I know. It's just hard for me to compromise my trading style, I would
That's
say.
fine. That's fine. I'm looking at it from a different point of view. And
Sure.
then I
I
asked you what
get
happened. You're like, well, I had a profit and I took it. And I'm like,
that.
yeah, I can't argue with that. But then I was watching look at the chart. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's in trouble. You could
Okay, where is it
win.
right now? Where is it right now? Curious.
It's currently worth 20 cents.
Okay, so All right. So you feel good. You're convicted.
So 70 bucks, an additional 70 bucks, we would have been up $400 on the trade or
It's ripping the
more.
other way. It'd be a different conversation.
Yeah, then I would be like, okay, shh, I'm not talking about it.
Yeah.
But
No, but I think it's fascinating, and I don't, like you said, I don't think either of us is wrong. But you have to look at all the different variables about why you would get up.
yeah. And we
So
still
I
have an
like what
hour
you
and a half
said to
left.
me early on today. You said, what's your thought process, right? So that has me really thinking about, okay, why did I get out, right? And consider all the different possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to do it here. Like, okay, what is the pros and cons of both? And this
Hmm.
is could be something that somebody goes through on a different trade. Like, okay, how much additional profit can I make? What kind of percent is that? ROI percent, you made 4% on this trade, right? Let's look at it. So 355 divided by 8,000 is 4.4%. Let me write that down. Why 4.4%. Now, what could you have made? 445 divided by 8,000 could have had 5%. Now, grand scheme of things, 1.1% difference. You know, for one trade, not a big deal. But if you do this every day, we're talking about what, 200, 300% in a year.
Hmm.
So that would become a bigger issue, right? And so, like, if you had brought this to me and you bring me your spreadsheet and you're like, okay, hey, I have a year of trades. How do I improve this? Well, what is your plan? Well, the plan is to put a stop loss and not get out, until you hit the stop.
Right.
Okay, why you get out early? That you're leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table. Um, so you had mentioned earlier, hey, I had a profit target. So what is the profit target?
Well, and this one, to be honest, I was looking for about 4% in that
Okay.
area, and just generally, I wanted because it is such a new trade, right? I want to build consistency, so I'm bringing along my trading style with that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I decided to get out a little earlier.
Okay. Because one of the things that I've seen is when you're teaching a strategy,
Hmm.
you can give the rules and be like, this is when you get in, and this is how you get in, this is when you get out. But when you say, oh, hey, take profits when you're up money, how do you quantify that?
Right.
When do you tell somebody like, okay, if you're, and I've seen others where they're like, oh, hey, if you capture 50% of the credit, total credit, that's when you get out. So it's like basically you get out early when you've captured 50% of the credit. So in this case, we would have been happy with what, like $200, maybe, if
Hmm.
that was the case. Um, I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah.
So that to me, that doesn't work. 50% of the credit doesn't work.
Yeah, it's
Um,
got to be worthwhile, right? Of course.
yeah.
Um,
And
So another thing is like when you're new to trading, it's like a lot of people don't know the different possibilities because they're new, right? They don't know the possibilities of what can happen in a trade, right? So they don't even know that you can go all the way expectation. Some of them don't even know you could get out of the trade early, right? It's that simple. So there are all these things that are in play, I would say.
yeah. And then there's other things to consider. Like, let's say, this was a call, and so we wanted the market to stay down. Now, if the market had continued to drop, that would that have changed your mind?
Yeah, it actually would have. It would a little bit. Yeah. Because yeah,
Right.
because but at that point, right? And I'll just be straight. Like I have different factors going on, right? Not sitting here just looking at this one trade, right? So I decided to get out of this trade, right? So if that hasn't changed and the market continues to go down, yes, I would have stayed a little longer because it would have been a little bit more certain to me
Right. So it would have been uncertain and it would have been faster to a
to
point
get
where
out.
you could get out.
Right. Mhm.
Um, so you would have been like, okay, I didn't leave $90 on the table. I left, 25. Okay.
Yeah.
So the value of the option would have dropped much faster as
Mhm.
well. You wouldn't have to wait all the way to the end of the day.
That's right. But me getting out early, you could also say that I gained an hour of time to do other things, right?
Or
Instead of,
more than an hour, because
or
you get out
whatever,
like
if
three
you're sitting
hours.
there watching it, right? That's a toll that are you willing to do that? So
Right.
that I think that enters the the picture.
Yeah. Because there's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to put in a stop loss and I'll let the market handle it and let the broker handle take care of that. But if you decide, hey, I'm going to change it and I want to get out, at zero, then you have to change your stop loss. And then, you're human. You're going to pay attention. You're going to, even if you're
Hmm.
doing something else, you're still going to have it still open. You're still going to be looking, like,
Yep.
and it's just a distraction. So, um, but yeah, so I think if somebody's in a situation where maybe they're working a job or they're doing that, and you can take the money, I think you take the money. I'm
It's
not
very
sure.
situational to your life and who you are, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know what percent you would take. You might be happy with 75%, 80%, uh, instead of the whole 100%, but uh, that would be individual. So let me ask you, now that you know that it's worth only 20 cents now, are you still happy with your decision?
Yeah. I think that to me that's the bottom line, right? So like I don't really fret. I see the point, right? You're leaving a lot of money over the table. But I'm not, feeling horrible about it. And I think that's a big issue for me.
Yeah. Now, in this
Big point.
case, it is a decent amount. Like you could have made an additional $90, which is another 1.1% return or 25% of the total. You do that over the long run over and over again. And like I
Hmm.
said, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Correct.
Um, because like we said earlier, the odds were still in your favor. It was still
Hmm.
looking really good. It wasn't like the trade was in danger.
No.
It wasn't turning around. There wasn't any big announcement coming in the middle of the day, like a Fed meeting or something that we're worried about. It's just, hey, it's another day. It might peter out, but the market was just, kind of flat. Um, and it just meanders, goes up a little bit and down a little bit. And so, um, so that's kind of how, these are some of the different questions that you would consider when you are looking at a trade that you have money on. There's different things to consider, right? So we looked at the emotional. We looked at, hey, do I have something else going on? We looked at, hey, can I do something else with this money? That's
Hmm.
another one. In this case, we're just talking about a couple hours. But if you're in like a layup or an iron condo or something like that, and you can make, for example, let's say 10% for the month, and it's 2 weeks, and you're already up, 6.5, 7%. Do you
You
stay in there for the
better,
rest of it?
uh, I think ultimately you want the velocity of money. In that case, it's a longer 2 weeks is a lot of time, right? And if you're up a good, you may consider it. You consider it getting out.
Yeah, because even nowadays, right? It's not like in the past, if you got out of the monthly option, you didn't have a choice. You would have to wait for the next monthly option to come and then you'd get
Hmm.
back in then. But nowadays, almost all the major stocks all have weeklies. So
Right.
you could
So
go in and
you
look at it and
get
say,
your
okay, I
money
want to
out,
go
put it
in.
to use somewhere else.
Yeah. So I want to
Right.
do a 30-day trade, maybe on the same stock, right? I mean, you take a look at GLD, it's just going up, gold going up, going up, going up. This month, I'm actually in it for the third time. Like
Yeah. Which
this
is
is
very
the
rare.
this is the
This doesn't
third
happen
layup, and we
often. Yeah.
still have like 20 some days left.
Yeah.
We have 20, I think
Yeah.
20, 21 days left to expiration. I've
Mhm.
already gotten 10% and got out. Well, the second time I wanted to get in the third time, so I took 8%. So I got out a little early. I didn't. I actually did this exact thing. I
Okay.
was like, okay, I can wait for another 20 days to make 2%, or I'll get 2% maybe in a week
Hmm.
because it's decaying, right? So I don't have to wait the whole 20 days. I might get out in a week, but then will I be able to get back in a week from now? Probably not.
Yeah, probably
So then I
not.
looked at it. I'm like, okay, I got 22 days left. If I get in again, where am I getting? What's my strike? do I like it? And do I like the trade? And I said, yeah, I like the trade. So I said, okay, I'm going to get out of that one at like 8%, use that same money, put it on again, and try to make another 10%.
Mhm.
So and hopefully I'll be able to get 28% this month out of GLD. Same exact strategy, same exact trade, same exact
Oh,
stock.
just the
Just
going through
chick,
that
chick.
thought process. So it's like you have to really challenge yourself to think about the whole process of the trade, right? Why would I do what I'm doing, right? It's good to question. That's why I look forward to this, especially today, because I was interested to hear, you know, your
Yeah,
thought process and my thought process, right? And
yeah,
then put them together and see. You have to be open-minded to what is different, right?
right. And then what do they say? They say bulls and bears make money, hogs or pigs get slaughtered,
Hmm.
right? That's the thing. It's like, okay, don't be a pig, don't be a hog, don't be greedy. Like, hey, if you have the money, you take it and you get out. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes you can stay in the trade and you can take it.
You said it though, sometimes, and you have to
Sometimes.
recognize those times, right?
Yeah,
It's a
right.
difference of like, oh, I'm just sitting in to just be greedy. If you're, I would say being greedy in the right way. That's how I'd frame it, right? There's certain times in trades to push down a little harder, go a little harder on contracts because you're recognizing the patterns a little better,
Yeah.
right?
And there are certain times too when I'll have a like for our layups, right? We have a goal that we're going to make 10% and we're going to get out of the trade. Now, a lot of the times I abide by that rule most of the time. Right? If I'm up 10, take me out. I got the order is already in. The order is already in. It's going to kick me out automatically.
Right.
But then there are some times when I'm like, there's only like a week left to expiration. I can make another maybe 2% on this trade. I like where it's at. It's not, I'm
Like,
not concerned with it. I really don't have or don't want to look for anything else. So I'll cancel the order and say, let it expire.
mhm.
So there's always that.
I'd also say, like, let's say you put a trade on and it works in your favor very quickly in the trade, right? That may be the time to take it off right there, and then possibly, like you said, get back into the same trade. And it's possible. Yeah.
hmm Yeah. So depending on where you are in the expiration cycle, I mean, if you get the money early in the expiration cycle, I would say, yeah, take it almost every time. Like
Mhm.
if you've gotten, 60% of what you've been given. Like if it's a gift, right? So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Just take the
Yeah,
profit and
very
put
true.
it put it to work somewhere else. There's literally millions of trades you could do every single day. So look for something else. Um, on the other hand, if you're very late in the expiration cycle and the trade's great and it's really, really safe, I let it ride. Especially if I
Yep,
don't
I'm the same way.
have
Yeah.
something else. Uh, so I think part of
I
that
mean, we
comes with
just talked about
experience.
that in the kind of the same frame of today's trade, right? Like if you asked me if the market continued to go down, yeah, I probably would have stayed a little longer
hmm
until expiration.
And for me, it does have something to do with how I'm doing on the rest of my portfolio. If
Very true.
everything if everything is working, everything's great, all the trades are just popping off, just hit X, oh, profit target, and then I'm about to hit another one. I'll say, yeah, just profit target and get me out of the market. I'm done. I don't want
Mhm.
to deal with it. I don't need that extra 2% because everything else worked. But if I'm behind on the month or it's like I'm just upset about something. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's when the emotions come in and be like, I want extra. I want some more.
And
So
that's where the issue
that's
is.
where it could happen.
That's where it's at.
So you got to be
Uncanny. Uncanny how that works.
so you got to watch that out. But hopefully this discussion gave our viewers something to think about. This is a real life trade. This is a real life example. Right now it's down to 15 cents. I don't know if that
Doesn't affect me. Uh,
still got
Unemotional.
still got more than an hour left in the day. So it'll probably get down to 5 cents. We could probably take it off. But
Unemotional.
unemotional. It's a four delta. It's so far away from the money. It's not
But
gonna
I think
hit.
it's a great point that people should always question yourself, right? When you're doing each trade about your thought process of why you're getting out, right? Even after the trade, why you did get out of a trade, why you got out early, just write that down. and you can start to see some of the ideas and patterns of, what you would do going forward. Make
Yeah.
yourself a better trader.
Now, the other thing, I don't know if we talked about this, but like, what is the likelihood, if you can find this, and you can't really, but what is the likelihood of this trade turning around on me? And like I said here, the short strike was 66.55. It was trading at 66.35, which is 20 points away.
It's
And at
not
that
terrible.
point, the market was down about 30 points. So it was already down 30 points, right? Is it going to rally up another 20 points again?
Not likely,
Not likely, but you never know. And so
but it
in a
can, and I have respect for that. So,
yeah,
so
like
that's
yeah, so in
kind
a
of.
short-term trade, like in a daily trade, yeah, I think can it go up 20 points? Yes, on a crazy, if there's an announcement or a tweet or anything. Yeah, it could. But if we're in a 30-day, 45-day type trade, is it going to turn around and come all the way back up? That's something that's a little bit different connotation. But that's
Absolutely.
one thing I always look at. Like, okay, what's the move? And it has to rebound. So is it going to be able to do that plus more? I don't know. I don't think so. So that gives me a little bit more comfort in staying in the trade a little bit longer. Because the one thing you also don't want to do is freak out.
No,
You don't want to be like, oh my God, I'm up 355. I got to take it. Oh my God, I keep back. If you're feeling that, then that means you're trading too large, meaning you got too many contracts, too
great
much
point.
money.
Yep.
So if
If you
you
can't,
feel,
if you go to sleep at night and you can't sleep,
Mhm.
definitely trading too much.
Yeah. So if that's the feeling you have, like, I got to get out, I got to get out, then that's also not a good thing. And so you need to scale it down a little bit. Um, the big thing is emotionally, we shouldn't have any emotions. Now we're people. That's like that's never going to happen. But
A tall
that's
order.
that's when you're trading really well when it's unemotional. Like I told you, oh hey, you could have made an extra 1% on. You'd be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
No skin off my nose, right? So um,
Well, I
that
try to get that place, and to me, it's all about consistency, right? We always talk about that. I don't want to be, I think the point is you don't want to be emotional one day, unemotional the next day, emotional, right? I'm trying to be one speed across the trades, right? And learn the lessons from them because they'll
hmm
always be there.
Yep. Yep. So great. I think that was really good. A really good conversation. Um, so let's finish up by looking at the SmackDown. Let's look at SmackDown.
Knockdown. All right. Let me share here.
Actually got some stuff moving around today. I think might have a new person in the lead.
Okay. Let's see here.
All right. So AMX, $1.02.
All right. $1. Let me get here. $1.02. Okay.
All right. So Lily is 738.78.
Oh, seven,
738, sorry, 738.78.
7, 8. Okay.
Tesla 443.28.
Dot 28.
Palantir 178.29.
178.29. Okay.
IT is $2.85.
285. Okay.
Fortinet $83.62.
83.62.
Yep. TLT $88.84.
Okay.
And TNX $74.81.
Okay.
FNV $210.22. Hood $127.43. Google is $248.60. Netflix $1,000 $198.92.
Hmm.
Monster $327.62. And then HL $11 even. Okay, now
Okay.
Monster is a short, so he's actually up $2, 2%. So not negative 2%, but positive 2%.
It's actually MicroStrategy. Or
Yes,
we call it.
MicroStrategy. So we got Hood still in charge, but barely. And then Tesla coming up right behind it.
Ooh, right at it. Nipping right at it. Okay.
And then HL is also at 20, over 20%. So we got three of them over 20%. Um, it's anybody's game.
Sure is.
Still got a week left. So, but which one? Who are you betting on?
Hmm. I think I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Hood at this point.
Cool. I'm
Yep.
going with Tesla.
You just did that to be opposite, huh?
No, no, I just think Tesla has momentum. And it's been jumping up. Like even today, it's up 4%. Hood's up almost one, but Tesla's up four. So I think it's got some momentum behind it and is riding higher. So,
All right.
but yeah. All right. So that was it for today, folks. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. We love comments. We love subscribers. We love bells or whatever they got here on
Love
YouTube.
bells. I got one right in front of me. Always.
Um, and so, yeah, let us know if you have any questions. We'd be happy to answer and take a look at something. And again, hopefully today's discussion was helpful. Um, again, we were talking about a Phoenix trade. And so some of you guys might not know what that is. That is a new trade that we've added to the Market Power program. Um, Basically now, thanks to Phoenix, we trade every single day in market power. So
Every
not
single
exactly
day.
passive, but
No.
the money's coming. So
Yeah.
this trade was, I think, number four winners in a row. So yeah,
Yep.
it's been doing
It's been
well.
great. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that one, I forget what it was. I think it was like 80 something percent success rate, right?
Mhm.
Average trade makes about 4%. The worst drawn was about 16%. So,
Yeah, that's totally doable.
yeah,
Great trade. Yeah.
especially if you're making 4% every day, and if you have the worst thing that could happen, which doesn't happen that often, but if the worst thing that happens is 16, you're making four every day. I mean, you'd break even for the week if that happened.
It's not like you
Um,
even fell off the horse. You kind of fell out a little bit, right? You
yeah.
get back right back on.
Yeah.
Keep galloping.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a really good trade. But what we talked about today was, one of the discussions, like when that's the thing that still trying to figure out, right? When do we get out?
That's always going to be there, right? That you
And
have
that
to
will always be there, yes.
always be there. Yeah.
Uh, and so like we're not robots, we're not automation, so um, it happens, and you make a decision, and sometimes the decision is the right one. Like we have seen more than on one occasion when the last 20 minutes of the day market goes phew, or down phew, and the trade would be toast. So
Yeah.
for the record, I do agree with your decision to take it off, even
Okay.
though we left money on the table.
Rather to have money than.
Yeah, I'd rather have some money than no money. You do a whole trade all day long and you make like
Oh man,
$10.
it's so deflating,
That'd
right?
be
No,
annoying.
like to take a long walk around the neighborhood and get back up. Tomorrow's another day, but you know, those are situations. Those are tough, right?
Hmm. Yep. Sweet beans. All right, guys. Thank you so much.